Hi, thank you for all the feedback and questions in the comments on our first video about the FLSUN S1 Pro. In this installment, we'll dig deeper into testing the abilities of this printer with bigger and slightly more complex fun prints, as well as with more varied materials, PLA and PETG, but from different brands. Admittedly, it's still the honeymoon phase with our S1 Pro. The few difficulties we've encountered have already been resolved by yours truly, like unloading filament reliably using my new macro and adding improved roller skates for easy transport. Stay to the end to see those. I'm Gergo, and welcome to Gergo Print 3D, the YouTube channel where we log our DIY adventures in 3D printing and laser cutting. My little nephew and I have so much fun working on projects, trying out new devices, and often making mistakes so you don't have to. As always, translation-ready subtitles and chapter markers are at your disposal. In my first video about the FLSUN S1 Pro, we set up the printer and printed just two simple models to check if everything was working. If you haven't watched it yet, be sure to check it out. I'll link to it at the end of this video. Those first prints were pre-sliced, so we started them directly from the device screen or using the FLSUN Word app on our phone. This time, however, I installed the FLSUN Slicer on my PC. I'm perfectly fine with this slicer, which is closely based on Orca Slicer, which became my go-to option. By the way, we could just as easily use the mainline Orca Slicer since it comes with S1 presets and can connect to the printer via its IP address. The only reason I opted for the dedicated slicer is that it came with more and better tuned filament presets, specifically for the S1 Pro. I'll try to extract these presets and import them into Orca, and if I'm successful, I'll let you know. With the slicer installed on my computer, my first self-sliced model was this support-free bust of Einstein. I printed it using regular, low-speed PLA and the supplied generic PLA presets in the slicer without any adjustments. While it wasn't as fast as printing with high-speed filament, the print turned out perfect in just 2 hours, which is still pretty good. At the end of last week's video, I promised sound level measurements with the printed silencer. While it doesn't make this printer exactly silent, it does reduce the high-frequency components of the noise, which were the most annoying. As for measurements, from a distance of 1 meter, the sound level drops just below 60 decibels with the silencer, compared to the low 60s with just the door being closed, and in the 70s when the door is open. While it's not a dramatic reduction in terms of numbers, it's definitely an improvement in comfort. I plan to do more in-depth review of the S1 Pro in the next installment, including my usual tests for temperature, heating speed, and wattage usage. Please let me know in the comments if there's anything else you would like me to cover about this printer. Continuing with our prints, we tested the Creality Hyper PLA we received from Geek Buying a few weeks ago. Look at these beautiful colors. We picked this colorful marble machine model from Thingiverse. The main part was printed using the green roll and the FLSUN high-speed PLA presets in the slicer. FLSUN's filament is rated for 1200 millimeters per second, while the Creality Hyper PLA is rated for just 600. I'm happy to report that this third-party filament works perfectly with the highest speed preset in the slicer. This is especially good news since Creality filaments are much more accessible and available in more colors than FLSUN's own, which have been out of stock ever since I started looking for them. I remember printing a similar marble machine on my Marlin-based printer back in the days. At around 40 hours, it was a multi-day print. If someone had told me I'd be able to print such a model in just a few hours, I wouldn't have believed them. I do wish I had set the layer height a bit lower, but it still works well. We used the beautiful brown Creality Hyper PLA as an accent color for the smaller parts, and I'm especially impressed by how well the tall spiral turned out, given its minimal contact surface to the bed. Next, Levi found this Pengiun headphone holder model on MakerWord. It's a nice big print, perfect for testing clearances and more of the Creality high-speed filament. Knowing this printer has sufficient cooling thanks to the CPAP compressor on the top, we disabled supports for the roof of the belly area and used 3 supports for other floating sections. Unfortunately, one key support broke off during print, which would have helped with the part between the eyes. However, the unsupported inside turned out okay, though a bit messy as expected. We printed the black eyes separately, along with the orange feet and the beak, all using the colors of Creality Hyper PLA. The only issue we had was with the door, which was oriented oddly. The first attempt failed, so we repeated the print unchanged while also adding a second version of the part oriented differently on the same build plate. The repeated print showed some improvement, but still wasn't ideal. However, the part we oriented ourselves turned out to be the best looking and most usable of the bunch, and it's now ready for assembly. The S1 Pro passed the clearance test effortlessly. The face, eyes, and beak all fit together nicely. For assembly, we used super glue for the feet and a piece of paper clip as the hinge pin. While we could have positioned the seam line to the back for a cleaner look, the surfaces still turned out impressively smooth. The main part printed in just 4 hours using the FLSUN high-speed PLA profile in the slicer. If you're looking for great filament deals, I recommend checking geekbuying.com, where Creality Hyper PLA is often available in bundles of 5, 6 or even 10 kilogram bundles, as well as individual spools for specific colors. I'll include links and coupon codes for these and other top filament options in the description. Next, we tested some silk PLA on the S1 Pro using Sovo's dual color silk to print a drinking horse vase for my young niece, Levi's sister. The models sourced from MakerWord turned out beautifully. The FLSUN Slicer includes a stock silk PLA preset, which runs slightly slower in order to deliver a stunning, shiny finish. Although the model is designed to be support-free, we scaled it up slightly, so we added minimal supports. One of these supports broke during printing, a recurring theme with the S1 Pro, isn't it? But the final print still came out perfect. The minor surface imperfections were likely due to the filament being over a year old. You might remember it from my magnetic chess set video, printed from the same roll. It's a fun video to watch. Check it out if you're interested. Time to test something other than PLA. I mentioned my plan to attach rollers to the feet of the S1 Pro for easier transport. I found these snap-on adapters on printables, but decided to improve the design. I added a chamfer to increase strength and revise the collar piece so it no longer needs glue while keeping both parts printable without support. You will need 3 furniture moving wheels from AliExpress, which are perfect for this project and cost next to nothing. AliExpress is a great source for these types of accessories. They are so affordable, it wouldn't make sense to 3D print them, especially since we'd need metal axles. Injection molding also makes them stronger. You'll find links to these wheels and my improved models in the description. I printed the first adapter using some leftover jambered PETG with the generic PETG presets in FLSUN Slicer. This filament had some bad adhesion issues with the corners curling up slightly, but it was still usable despite the aesthetic imperfections. After confirming the fit, I printed the remaining 2 adapters together, also testing the filament run-out detection feature. The print paused as expected, allowing me to switch to Sovo PETG, which printed much cleaner and without curling. It's hard to say whether the issue with the first print was due to older filament or not applying enough glue to the print bed. The new collars snap onto the turning top part of the wheels and then into the feet adapters. To install them, first slide the adapters onto the printer's feet by slightly tilting the machine. Then snap the wheels into place with the collars. The printer's weight keeps everything securely in place, yet the rollers can be removed easily when needed. The original rubber feet still reduce vibrations, and the rollers don't compromise the printer's stability. I was initially concerned about their effect on input shaping, but after recalibrating, the input shaper frequencies actually improved, which might even enhance the printer's speed, a surprising bonus. With the new rollers installed, I was finally able to wheel the printer into my dedicated printer room. This was a huge relief since the noise was becoming quite distracting in my study room. Once in the new space, I printed this statuette of Levi using the leftovers of the FLSUN high-speed PLA that came with the printer. This model stands 40 centimeters tall, a size none of my other printers could handle due to its height. Can you guess how long it would take to print a model of this size? I was amazed when the slicer estimated a print time of just 3 hours, including supports. Unfortunately, the print attempt failed at the knees, where a support broke and caused the entire part to dislodge. This ongoing issue with supports was becoming a real problem, so I investigated the stock presets and made 3 adjustments, though I believe the last one made the biggest difference. For one, I increased the Z-hop from 0.4 to 0.6 millimeters and reduced the Z-hop threshold from 60 to 30 millimeters. From what I understand, Z-hop doesn't significantly affect printing speed on a Delta Motion system like it does on Core XY printers. So even if this wasn't the fix, it wouldn't hurt performance. 2, I increased the brim width around the base of the 3 supports. Although the failure happened higher up, I find this adjustment helps in general, improving bed adhesion of supports. While simulating the print in the preview screen, I noticed something unusual. The supports weren't growing with every layer. Let me explain. If you press the up arrow to step through the layers, you see that on every other layer, only the part receives a new layer, while the support remains static. This happens because the supports are printed with thicker layers, which can slightly reduce print time, and aesthetics for supports aren't a concern. However, I suspect this uneven height creates issues where the print head might bump into the supports. I disabled the independent support layer height option, adding about 10 minutes to the overall print time. But the good news, on the second attempt, the print sailed right past the problem area, finishing in an impressive 3 hours, actually 10 minutes faster than the slicer initially predicted for the updated print file. The result was a stunning 40 centimeter tall statue of Levi. Our plan is to scan him every year, creating a physical record of his growth. This scan is from last August, so be sure to check back next summer to compare. With all these filament changes, we really started to loathe the filament unloading method the S1 Pro has built in. You have to manually pull apart the PTFE tube at the connection by pressing the tiny spring collars, which are hard to access even with Levi's smaller hands, and even after unlocking and pulling down the print head. Then you have to carefully clip the filament while avoiding accidentally cutting into the CPAP tube or the electric cables. After that, you reconnect the PTFE, let the printer heat the nozzle, and feed the cut-off filament forward through the extruder while you pull back the other end onto the spool. Only one other printer we've used did it this way, and we hated it just as much. FLSUN told me I could use their unload macro from the main sail interface for unloading by retraction, pulling the filament out of the extruder just as my other printers do. But they've warned me it's prone to clogging the nozzle. Well, I checked their macro and it's no surprise it causes clogs. It attempts to retract 100 millimeter of filament at a very slow rate without even heating the nozzle. Unsurprisingly, this can snap cold filament inside the extruder or grind it between the gears. Even if you preheat the nozzle first, the slow rate pulls molten filament into the gears, causing clogs another way. So I borrowed an idea from one of my other printers and adapted the macro for the S1 Pro. My version starts by heating the nozzle to 235 C, good for most filaments, though you might want to go a bit higher for ABS or ASA, but it doesn't need to be the actual printing temperature. Then it extrudes a little bit forward to form a clean tip. And here's the key part, it then retracts a short distance quickly to move the molten filament into the cold zone, then pauses for a few seconds to let the tip solidify slightly. This prevents stretching or deformation during the next step, a slower retraction to fully remove the filament. As this is happening, it's a good idea to hold on to the filament at the spool and pull gently during this final retraction phase. Once it's complete, my macro will cool the nozzle. Unfortunately, I haven't yet figured out how to activate this macro from the on-screen unload button. It might require a software update. For now, you can run it from the main sail interface on your phone's web browser. I've named it G-Unload, yes, after my initial. You can download this macro along with my updated transport wheel adapter models from my S1 Pro improvement collection on Called 3D. The link is also in the description below. These were some of the most interesting prints and tweaks we've tried on the S1 Pro so far. I hope you found them as fascinating and helpful as we have. If so, please reward our efforts with a like and don't forget to subscribe. There's a lot more to discuss that didn't fit into this video. I've responded to all your comments on the last video, but I'd like to expand on some of those topics in the future. Give me a week or two and I will have an even more informed opinion about this printer. If what you've seen has helped you confirm your decision to get the S1 Pro, I've got some really good news. You can save $100 or €100 using the coupon code FLSUNGP3D and the links below, but only until the end of January. That's just a few days away. The discount helps you save while supporting us with a little affiliate income, which makes these videos possible. A big thank you also goes to our faithful supporters on Ko-fi.com. Ko-fi is where I can give more personalized assistance and have longer conversations if you decide to join there. If you missed last week's video about the FLSUN S1 Pro, click here to catch up, or click here for the next installment or another interesting video until it's published. With the S1 Pro or any of your other printers, let's go print 3D. Thank you for sticking with me all the way to the end of this Gergo Print 3D video.